Right, short date, please. And, oh, I think it might be the 9th, actually. I'm doing these in advance, sorry. 9th of the 6th, short date and learning objective. Press pause while you're doing that. And then play when you're done, okay? Right, okay, so as you can see, we move on from ratio and we're going to look at proportion, okay? From ratio to proportion. Before we do that, we're just going to have a very brief revision, because a lot of, some of this involves converting fractions to percentages. So, for example, if I wanted to turn 3/10 into a percentage, remember a percentage is just a fraction out of 100. So I'm timesing by 10, aren't I? Timesing by 10. 30 over 100, 30%. Okay. If I've got, for example, 3/50ths, again, I just want to turn that into a fraction over 100. So I'm timesing by 2, 6/100ths, 6%. Okay. Just we're only going to do the fairly straightforward ones on these, because it's not going to be tricky ones on that. So what if we've got 2/5? 2/5. Now you can, if you want to go straight to 100, I'd probably just turn that into tenths. That's 4/10, and I know 4/10 is 40%. Okay, because 1/10 is 10%, 2/10 is 20%. Sorry, 3/10 30%. So sometimes it's just easy to turn something into tenths, and this if I've got 9/20ths, okay, I can't turn that into tenths, but I can certainly turn it into hundredths. To times that by 5, times by 5, 45 over 100, 45%. Okay. Now, lots of the questions you're asked today will be asking you to give an answer in a fraction and a percentage. If it asks you for both, you must give both, please. Okay. If it doesn't ask for whether if it doesn't ask if it wants it in a fraction or a percentage, do whichever one you want, actually. Okay. Right. And then it'll also ask you to simplify things. Okay. So for example, if you are left with 20 out of 25 is the proportion, and you have to simplify that. Obviously 5 goes into them both, isn't it? You divide them both by 5. Divide both by 5. That's the highest common factor. 4/5, isn't it? And if you got 12 out of 15, 3 goes into them both, divide by 3, divide by 3, so we've got 4/5 again. Okay, so remember, simplifying is just you making it, put it into its lowest form. Okay, again, we've done quite a lot of that not all that long ago. Okay, so simplify into the lowest form. Right, so let's have a little look. Let's just look at a kind of visual version first. I think it's probably the easiest way to start. So if I'm looking here at the proportion, the ratio of black to red dots. So the ratio, there are 3 black dots for every 2 red dots. That is the ratio. Now, actually, when we deal with proportion is what we kind of use more on a day-to-day basis anyway. So that's the ratio, but the proportion is something different. It's 3 black ones out of 5 altogether. 3/5. So 3/5 are black. Okay, how many are red? What proportion are red? It's 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 out of 5. So it's kind of just putting them into fractions. Now, actually, we're probably more used to using proportion, as I say, in general life anyway. Okay, but of course they will often be asked, can you also turn it into a percentage? So 3/5 of these dots are black, so that is 3/5 is the same as 6/10. I'm expanding now, just doubling them both, and I know 1/10 is 10%, so 6/10. So 60% of those dots are black, and I know 2/5 is equal to 4/10, and that's 40%. Okay, and 40% is are red. 40% of these dots are red. Okay, so that is basically what a proportion is. It's a fraction of the whole amount, isn't it? Okay, and you can turn that then into a percentage of the whole amount. let's have a look at this one here. Okay, so we've got, what is the ratio of red sections to blank sections? Okay, so the ratio, there's obviously 2 red sections, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to every 6 white. Okay, 2 to every 6. Okay, what if I wanted to know that that's the ratio? If I wanted to do as a proportion, so that's 2 out of 8 altogether. 2/8 are red. 2/8 are red. Okay, I'm going to turn that into a quarter, and I know a quarter is 25%. So I've got my simplest form and I've got my percentage. If I wanted to know what proportion of this circle has white sections, again it's 6 white ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 8 altogether. I can simplify that to 3/4, so that's my simplest form, and I know 3/4 is 75%. Okay, right. So if there's a ratio of in a classroom there are 2 girls to every 3 boys. Okay, there's our ratio. What proportion of the class are girls? What proportion of the class are girls? And this is where we can, if we want to use our total, if we need to put our total in, we can. So we know there are 2 girls out of a total of 5. 2/5. Okay, 2/5, and again 2/5 is a percentage, I won't go through that again, is 40%. So girls, the proportion of girls is 2/5, 40%. Proportion of boys, again 3 out of a total of 5, 3/5 of boys, 60%. Okay, and I'm putting the percentage and a fraction. Say for example I had, then there was in a gym club, okay, the proportion of girls to boys, you had 7 girls for every 3 boys. Okay, and again the total there is 10. That's the total of 10, isn't it? And we can just add this up again. Yeah, 7 and 3 is 10. Okay, so the proportion of girls, that's the ratio, 7 to 3. The proportion is, there are 7 girls out of 10. Okay, 70%. The proportion of boys, 3 out of 10, 30%. So that's the ratio, 7 to 3, and the proportion is 70% are girls, or 7/10 are girls, 3/10 are boys. You could, if you look through somebody looked through a box of Smarties, and they found the ratio of red to yellow to orange was 5 reds. For every 5 reds there was 3 yellows and 4 oranges. What proportion of these Smarties are red? Okay, so red again, so if we want to put our total, but we've got 5, 3, 12 there. Okay, what proportion? So that would be 5 out of 12 are red. Okay, yellow, 3 out of 12 are yellow, and orange, 4 out of 12. Okay, now in this one I'm just going to do the fraction. Okay, it's not telling me to do the fraction and percentage, so I'm just going to do the fraction because over 12 is quite a difficult one to do into a percentage. Okay, although in fact these two aren't too bad. So can I simplify that? Can I simplify that? Yeah, 3 goes into both, so I'm going to do my simplest form. Yes, 4 goes into both, 1/3. So the proportion of red Smarties is 5/12. The proportion of yellow Smarties is 1/4, and the proportion of orange Smarties is 1/6. 1/3. Okay, right. Have a go at these, please. Have a go at these. I don't think that's too tricky. Have a go at these. Okay. So in your books, you need to turn these ratios into proportions. So I've done girls and boys. Okay. So your answer needs to be girls equals boys equals, and for each one. And this is girls. The last one is girls, boys, and adults. Okay. So you'd put girls equals boys equals adults equals. Okay. Write them into a fraction and then turn that into a percentage. Pause the video while you do that, please, and then we very quickly go over them. Okay. Right, let's have a little look. So we know the total here is 5. So in girls, 4/5, which is 80%. Boys, 1 out of 5, 1/5, 20%, and this should obviously add up to 100%. Here we've got girls, this time they add up to 20, isn't it? So in terms of the girls, we've got 9/20. Okay. Then I'm going to turn that, I can't simplify that any further, but if I can turn that into a fraction over 100 times 5, 45 over 100, 45%. Okay. And then boys, okay, squeeze it in, boys, 11 over 20, and again I can't simplify that, but if I expand it out I get 55 over 100, 55%. So my two answers are 11/20 and 55%. Let's have a look at the last one. Let's have a little bit more space here. Okay, so here again I'm going to add them up. They come to 10. So the girls, that's 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. Simplify that to its lowest form, first of all, equals 2/5, and I know 4/10 is 40%, so I've done the lowest form and the percentage. Okay, boys, 5 out of 10, I know I can simplify that to a half. Half is 50%. And then the last one, adults, is 1 in 10 are adults, can't simplify it, and that's 10%. Okay, right, so it's just applying this knowledge, okay, turning, sort of working between ratios and proportions. Okay, let's have a look at let's have a look at this one first. Okay, have a read of this question. Okay, pause the video while you're doing it and press play when you're done. A packet of pens has 10 blue, 10 black and 5 red. Write the ratio of different coloured pens first of all, and then write the proportion of blue pens as a fraction and percentage. Pause the video while you do that, and then we'll go through it. So let's first of all, let's start with the ratio. The different coloured pens. So there are blue, okay, 10, black, 10, red, 5. Okay, so that's just, in fact you don't even need that, that's the ratio, we don't need the both. So the ratio is 10, 10, 5, isn't it? Okay, and write that as a proportion. So let's have a look, we've got the blue pens, so the blue pens are 10, in total there were 25, isn't there? That means there's 25, so it's 10 out of 25, oops, 10 out of 25. So let's first of all put that into, let's simplify that, 5 goes into them both, so that would be 2/5. Okay, 2/5 is also equal to 4/10. I'm just expanding that out, and that is equal to 40%. So our two answers need to be 2/5 is our lowest form, and 40% is our percentage. Okay, I could have turned that, times that by 4, times it by 4, put it into a fraction of 100, couldn't I? Okay, let's do it this way. So if I times that by 4, I get 40, times that by 4, I get 100. 40 over 100, 40%. Okay. Have a go at this one, please. In an athletics competition, a team came first, second, and third in the following ratio. In what proportion did they finish first? In what proportion did they finish third? Write your answer as a fraction and a percentage. Right, pause the video while you do that. Okay, off you go. Press play when you're ready. Right, so let's have a little look. This is the ratio, and I always think it's worth writing the ratio down. So there's the ratio, 5/4. Okay, what proportion did they finish in first? So first of all, they had 10, a total of 10 first, second, or third positions. So they got 1 out of, so that's 1 out of 10. Okay, so the first one is a 10, and that is 10%. Okay, they come third 4 times, so that would be 4/10. I'm going to simplify that first of all. Then 2/5 to the lowest form, and then I know 4/10 is 40%. Okay, pretty straightforward. Okay, right, let's have a go one more before you have a go yourself. This is quite a trickier one. Okay, a trickier one. So Tony practiced 10 penalties on day 1 and 25 on day 2, and these are his results. Okay, sorry, it's a bit messy. So what is the fraction and percentage of goals scored on day 1? What is the fraction percentage of goals scored on day 2? On which day was he most successful at taking penalties? Pause the video, please, and then we'll go through those. Pause the video and we'll go through those. Right, let's have a little look. Okay, so I'll just try and do the workings out down here. Okay, so what is the fraction and percentage of goals scored on day 1? So on day 1, his ratio was 7-3, isn't it? Scored, missed, 7-3. So what fraction percentage? So he took 10 penalties, he scored 7 of them. 7 out of 10, 70%. Okay, easy. Question number 1. Okay, what fraction and percentage of goals were scored on day 2? Well, he scored 16 out of 25. So I'm going to turn that, and I can't simplify that any further. So I'm going to turn that into a percentage. Okay, into a percentage. So I'm going to times that by 4 to get me 100, isn't it? Remember, a percentage is just a fraction out of 100. Times 4, 1632, 64. So 64% of his goals he scored, of his penalties were scored. So that will be the answer to the second one. Okay, we've got our fraction and we've got our percentage. On which day was he most successful? Now, he scored more goals, obviously, on day 2, but that doesn't mean he was most successful. Okay, his percentage success rate. So on day 1, his percentage success rate was 70%. On day 2, his percentage success rate was 64%. So actually, he was more successful on day 1. He may have taken fewer penalties, but what you want is your percentage success rate, isn't it? Because he got 70% on day 1, 64. So on question 3, he was more successful on day 1. Okay, more successful on day 1. Right, time for you to have a go yourselves. Okay, time for you to have a go yourselves. We're just gonna do the 1 unit in 1 day today. So, can we please on page 186? We're on 186, 187. Can we do questions 3 to questions 3? Hang on, I'm on the wrong page there. Sorry, apologies. 188, 189. 188, 189. Question 3 to question 8. Just question 3 to question 8. If you have time, please have a go at the extension. Okay. If you've got time, please have a go at the extension. It's staying on the same page, and the extension questions are just 9 to 12. So it's just finishing off that page, okay? I'd like everyone to just do 3 to 8 so you have those basics, and then have a go at the extension questions if you've got time. All right, good luck with that. Cheers, bye.